Mary Meet Annie here. Forgiveness is a concept that we might be challenged to explore during the season of water and emotions, this length of Samhain. It is one of the most challenging of human beingness. I know it was a struggle for me to get where I needed to be in relationship to it. And it was the seasons of Lammas and Mabon that led me to consider what it might be come the season of Samhain. Living true to the year, I make hard decisions in the season of Lammas regarding what needs to no longer be part of my life. During the season of Mabon, I honor my decisions and take actions to make them become reality. And at the Sabbath of Samhain, I make an offering of emotions that connect me to those actions in a way that keeps me in the past. The emotions, too, need to go. And then one year, an emotion that needed to be dealt with was forgiveness. I admit I have a conflicted history with the concept of forgiveness, as one of my few impressions from my childhood experience of my family's Christian tradition. It left me confused when it came to forgiveness. They, and when I say they, I'm thinking of they in quotes, and I have that in quotes because to my young self it seemed as if it was everyone, maybe everyone but me. They said that to live as Jesus would want, I needed to forgive. My child self had already experienced sexual abuse, and they were telling me I needed to forgive my abuser and others who might hurt me in my life. I backed away from the concept of forgiveness then and continued to do so for most of my adult life, because when I questioned it, I was told it was not to be questioned. My duty was to forgive. I determined that it was not a guiding precept for me, that acceptance and moving on was, that accepting sincere apologies as well as giving them was. But my child's mind understanding of forgiveness kept me from considering what that might be to my adult self. Until one Samhain, in a group ritual where unexpectedly I was thinking of someone who had passed who had done me great harm, and I experienced an emotion that was new to me. I would not be able to name it for quite some time after that evening. It was indeed forgiveness. In that ritual, I had a sense of the person in their wholeness, not just the limited parts of them that I knew, even though I knew them intimately well in his life here. I felt his pain and the torment that had been part of his life. This is the person that I had loved more than anyone I probably ever will love in my life. And in that moment, in that ritual, surrounded by loved ones, and in that safe environment, I sensed the deep tragedy that had been the length of his life. And it seemed to me he was asking for forgiveness. Although my psychoanalytical self would consider the possibility that I needed to forgive him. In the end, it was done as an offering later in a personal ritual when I had come to understand how momentous the experience was. I still ponder this particular aspect of being human. It hasn't resolved itself completely for me yet, but I no longer fear exploring it. And it was the season of Samhain that challenged me to explore what forgiveness might be. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I honestly still only have the vaguest sense of what it is that is deep and meaningful to me, although at least now I know that there are aspects of it that are. It was always others telling me what it was that limited my understanding of it. So I can at least share that it won't be what others say it is. It will be how each of us comes to experience it. And I can say that the Wheel of the Year teaches us everything we need to know to be human. After that experience, and the ritual that followed up after that, I wrote a poem that caught the essence of the experience for me. And it's called Forgiveness, Samhain, 2011. Our joys and sorrows come to us from that most perfect oneness that lies outside of us. every experience an opportunity to more deeply understand the fragile, powerful, exhilarating, exhausting, delightful, daunting length of our living. We must be brave enough to accept what we cannot change, and we must be brave enough to change what we can. Along the way, we learn the gentleness of forgiveness, the grace of acceptance, and the beauty of love. We first learn to say, I forgive you, I accept you, I love you. And then we find the courage to say, I forgive myself, I accept myself, I love myself. Then the perfect oneness who watches over us smiles, and knowing we have honored the most precious gift of our lives, whispering to us whenever we need to be assured, I forgive you, I accept you, I love you. And our heart smiles and sings with surety and courage. How could it not? Perhaps it's a topic for you to consider at this time of the year. Some of our emotional hangers-oners sometimes need consideration of the comfort that forgiveness might bring us. I wish you, in the season of Samhain, mirth and reverence, merry part,